To our wall-to-wall coverage here of Hurricane Irene, now down to a tropical storm. And we want to check in with another shoreline community that has had some trouble. West Haven Mayor John Picard is with us. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Darren. How are you?
I'm not bad. How are you is the question. Tell me what's happening in West Haven.
You know, as you know, there's a lot of water in this. During high tide, there's a lot of flooding. Streets were flooded. Power lines went down, trees. So we're asking our residents to please stay in their houses, to be careful and not to leave the house. You have a lot of cleanup to do. We have a number of power outages that happened. And I'll tell you, our police and fire and our emergency operations center did an amazing job. They were actually pulling people out of their houses at 10 o'clock this morning as the waves were going through some people's homes right on the water. So,
Mayor, is that because people didn't leave, or did the water come up higher and you have to do rescues? And
it's just because we asked the people right on the immediate shoreline to please, to leave. As you know, you can't force them to, and I think, they underestimated the power of the storm and the high tide and the surge. So people, the waves were coming right through their houses. So that's what happened. So
we have been hearing.
Our police and fire did a good job. They got them out. To the best of my knowledge, no one got hurt. We did have a couple of power lines down. We had one actually fell on a car that burnt up the car, but the people were safe. They're staying at a shelter. So, difficult storm. I think our emergency management director did a great job. Scott Schwartz did a good job, organizing this, and we're going to, do our best to get the cleanup done. But I want people to know that they have to stay in their homes. Please don't travel if they absolutely don't have to, and if they're at the shelter, stay there because there's still a lot of flooding and power outages and trees.
We're not done yet. Mr. Mayor, we have been hearing some reports from some of your neighboring communities about people having to be rescued, military involved even in Milford pulling people out. Have you folks or your fire department crews had to rescue anybody down there who didn't get out in time?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. About 10 o'clock this morning, 10:30, our police and fire did get some people out of their homes as the water was coming through the house. One of our police officers was actually trying to board up a front door, but we were asking people to get out of the house, so they did a very good job.
How'd they get them out? What's the technique? I mean, do they drive down with a truck? What do they do?
Well, I'm going to be clear. There wasn't, 10 feet of water. There was 3 or 4 feet of water. So they walked in,
right,
got the people out, walked out. So it wasn't to the point where, and what we were saying then, and to get them out of their houses, the high tide wasn't for another hour. So, I would say the number was probably a half a dozen, but it was enough to get the people, residents out and safe.
Mayor, 2 questions for you. How many folks do you have in shelters? And also, can you paint a picture for everybody who knows Savin Rock, and how far is the water up?
Yeah. The water was, good, 2 very good questions. There was about 85 people at the shelter at Kerrigan, and we're asking them to stay at least another night. There's
so 85 in a shelter?
85 in a shelter. And if you know Savin Rock, you can picture the Dawson Avenue firehouse. The water was there. The street was covered. Half of Ocean Avenue was not passable.
Wow.
So like I said, I've lived in West Haven my whole life. The water that came with this, with the surge and the high tide and the winds, I think most residents would tell you that they've been here for a while. They haven't seen it like this. And that's why I said I think some of the residents didn't realize when you hear I've been on the water my whole life, we don't have to leave. I think in this instance, so if you know where Savin Rock is, and I know you do, just picture that whole street being flooded, the water a couple feet high at least, the firehouse there, they had to evacuate the firehouse. So.
Wow, that's amazing. So. All right, Mayor, thank you so much. Do you have any more questions?
No, I think I'm done. Mr. Mayor,
okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Mayor
much.
Picard.
Again, just please ask the residents to stay inside and be safe.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll chat with you again, I'm sure.